He's been an HR leader of 30 years of rich experience. Prior to being the CHRO, he was the Chief People Officer of South Indian Bank and National Stock Exchange. He has unique exposure in both greenfield and brownfield projects, worked in different environments and cultures like that of MNCs, various companies, and public sector, Government of India. Worked in different sectors like technology, FMCG, BFSI, chemical, manufacturing, and public sector, and has also worked in international assignments in Europe, Malaysia, and Nepal. On a personal side, he is a sports enthusiast and a former national ranked table tennis player. Professionally, he has facilitated NSE, National Stock Exchange, with prestigious CII Exim Bank Business Excellence Prize twice in 2014 and 2016. Thank you very much, sir, for accepting our invitation. Over to you.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. We'll keep it interactive, so you can ask me whatever questions you have, because when I was told to interact with you, I just wanted there were various topics, and you guys are better than many of us, and so better than me for sure. So I thought, how do I help you to be prepared for the world outside or a new job? But yes, I know you guys have got experience, you've already worked. So, but nevertheless, now when you go back to the corporate world, expectations would be different, because people will expect more from you for two reasons. One, you're more experienced, you've worked for more number of years before. And you're going to go from Excel, which is an institute of repute, where people start expecting much more from you guys, right? But before I know I was introduced, but still I would try to first begin with tell something about myself, which is different than most of you what you heard. Yes, I worked a little in corporate, but let me tell you, I'm still learning and happy to learn from you guys also. Please feel free to ask as many questions as you want, and I'll still, because the more questions you ask, the more I learn, and because I have to think. So basically, let me tell you something different about myself so that you understand me more. Because when I go to campuses, you guys look at us in a way that what should I say? We are different, but we've been like you guys only. Okay. When we went school, college, done things, okay. So start with, I come from a cosmopolitan background, a mother an Italian, father a Bengali, a hardcore Bengali. My wife is from UP Wali, so she was my girlfriend from 10th standard, and quoted for 8 years, and married for last 30 years, okay. And blessed with a daughter and a son. Daughter just passed out from Carnegie Mellon, working in US. Son is also working. He should be going to do his MS. My only expectation from my children are they can get married wherever they want to get married. The only thing I keep joking and telling my son gets married to a girl, and my daughter gets married to a guy. That's my only expectation that I have, and nothing more, nothing less. So whatever I would tell you, very honestly, why I gave you this introduction is because I wanted to understand what I'm saying and not saying from what is I've read or I've done things, what I've done myself practically. And I feel those things work quite a bit. That's what corporates are looking at. That's what people are looking at. So I work for Colgate Palmolive, where you got a lot of alumni coming in from Colgate. So Uday Upendra was my boss, first boss. He's the first person who in HR, got a crore plus salary, things of that sort. So I've learned a lot from him, a lot from everybody else who are there. But nevertheless, I just thought I would share a couple of things. Before I start sharing, I would like to first share my screen, and just give me 2 seconds. I'd like to walk you through a model called this Organizing System Design Model. And whatever I speak will be based on that, so you'll understand why I'm speaking why for which. Just a second, yeah. You guys can see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, we can.
I'll just blow it. So this is something called organization systems design, and this is something that I use for whatever I do, whether in life, whether this can be used in all aspects that you work on. This is basically talking of whenever you're designing any system or anything that you do. Okay, even if you need to design your own life, you need to know what the external influencing factors are. Okay, and then create an internal design. Okay. Based on the internal design, you will get the desired behavior, feeling, skills, which will give you the desired outcome. And it's an iterating process. And because of desired outcomes, you will have the desired feeling, behavior, the internal process, and external factors. It's an iterating process. And this is very important to understand because this will help you. So what is the internal design? An internal design is understanding what is the mission. You create the mission of the organization, you create the guiding principles, and values of the organization, and strategies to influence the external environment. What are your goals, objectives? Okay, and to achieve them, you need to have technical systems in place. You have to have a structure in place. You have a decision-making information systems in place. You have a people systems in place. Reward, renewal. Renewal is again in everything that we do, whether in personal life or professional life. We have to relook, revisit whatever we have done. Does it work? It doesn't work. Right? So this is the basic model on which I tend to work on my professional front and my personal front, which helps in a great way to understand what it is. So now when you come, okay, when you look at the external environment, so we need to look at what the external environment that we are in today. If you look at the business, all businesses are in a consolidation phase. We were in high growth patterns, growth phases anywhere in the world. You can't have 20 telecom companies, so you're going to have lesser telecom companies. You can't have so many retail stores. That's world over. That's what happens. Okay, so everybody when it goes into business will get into multiple areas, and I've seen a couple of cycles of that happening, whether in the media, whether in the FMCG world, and there are examples that I can quote, but I know and it's all business models that will work. So you guys are from Excel, companies come to campus, and the best example that I can give of a business model, if you look at it, the world, the second largest toothpaste that is sold in the world is called Crest. Yeah. So any of you know which is the company that produces Crest? Any quick answer for that? You can write in, you can tell me whatever.
Sir, Oral-B?
No.
Sir, P&G?
That's right. Right? P&G produces Crest, and the second largest toothpaste in the world. But Crest has never entered the Indian market. Right? Why? Okay, I'll answer because I'm next Colgate. So they've never beaten Colgate world over, right? And secondly, Lever is very strong in India, and then you've got the third place. So you've got Colgate having 52% market share, Lever holding about 25 odd market share, rest 25% all splintered among various companies. Okay, so they've never entered despite knowing they're the second largest in the world. So your environment, which I'm talking is the people just have different business models, and people consolidate. Now, if you look at it over the years, the regulatory environment has become much more, structured, systematic, and it's getting more and more stringent. World across, and India has started doing it and doing it in a big way. So your regulatory environment is going to change. You can't be doing the things that you've done in the past for sure, and things are changing in a big way. So that is also changing. Now, there are a huge number of policy changes that are happening. Okay, some of us may think good, some of us may not think it's good. For example, the farm law, FCRA, etc. There's so many things happening. Okay, there'll be and there are divergent views everywhere. One would be the extreme left, the extreme right, the centrist, and whatever you call it. but they are going to have reforms, okay? And the world for sure will keep happening reforms, and reforms are something will all make us change and do things differently. I can't stress more on the importance on technology. Okay, you look at how technology has taken over all our lives today, and it had actually said COVID has accentuated the pace of it, but it has. So many things have changed, many things will change, and which is there. But with technology coming in, IT security is going to play a big role, huge role in all our lives. How do we deal with it? It's not only our personal security, but IT security is going to be even more important than even looking after it. It is technically a personal security. And finally, obviously, the lifestyle changes that all of us are going to go through. Okay, working from remote, having more video calls or chats or whatever you name it. There's so many things that's happening. Okay, and in HR, you're having chatbots and things of that sort. But with all these changes, let me again, as an HR person, also in upfront would like to tell you. But the people-to-people interaction is not going to change. Okay, and I'd like to give you this example. And even if some of you are not going to, go into HR, function to support HR or work in HR, but let me tell you, all of you are going to be a line HR manager, because HR is dealt with line, and line does a lot of work on HR. So hence, let me give you an example. Despite saying that there'll be a lot of lifestyle changes, going to remote working, all that stuff, and I'll give an example where an employee is also the same. So when my daughter, okay, sends me a message, okay, I'm happy. When I hear a voice, I'm happier. But when I do a video chat with speak to her on the video call, which I'll do after I finish talking to you, because 12 o'clock is the time that I have a chat with her. She works in the Bay Area. I feel even better. But the best I feel when I would hug her at the airport when she lands back, whenever she's back in Mumbai, right? And that's the same with an employee. That's the same with your co-workers. That's the same with everybody that you have. So there would be some changes that will surely happen, okay, but some will not happen. So I want to raise a red flag here in the beginning. Please do not think, like all of you are youngsters, I don't know how many of you are married or unmarried. People openly say, long distance marriages or long distance affairs don't work. Why? Because people to people interaction and the proximity is very important. So please, with whatever we have, we would be there. Please do not let that go. Right. So now, saying that, based on what I said, the model that we have, and based on the model that we know what the environment is. So what do we need to do? What do you need to do as a person who's going to go to the industry, meet people, interact? So I have a couple of philosophies. When I go for hiring, when I speak to people, there's something called well-read and well-bred. So would anybody like to, well-read, I guess all of you all know, all of you are well-read. You all are from Excel or Stanford, Harvard, Carnegie Mellon. What is well-bred? Can somebody tell me what is well-bred?
From a good community.
Maybe with good
So the upbringing, the environment the person is from.
That's right. It's more of values, upbringing, environment that you come from. I'm not community, family background. All that has become a passé now. Okay. In yesteryears, although thankfully I have a love marriage. My father had a love marriage, and then hopefully my daughter and son will have the same thing. Yesteryears, yes, आप फलाने खानदान के तो आपकी शादी अच्छे घर में हो जाती, but आज के ज़माने में, that doesn't work. Okay. But you being well bred is important. And in yesteryears, if you were, the differentiating factors was well read, because people only from very good families could go to good colleges or good universities abroad or in India. But today, a person can easily go to a good college in India. So the well-read is not a differentiating factor anymore in the country, in the world. But well-bred, which wasn't a differentiating factor yesteryears, has become a differentiating factor. And the reason for that is because despite coming from, people coming from big towns or good backgrounds still have habits or have discussions or do stuff which is not what it is. Okay, so when we work in a corporate is a totally different world. Even if you work in the IT sector where you can come in a jeans, come in a t-shirt, but can you behave in a certain manner? The answer is no. So being well-bred is the differentiating factor today. Because everybody, if you come, you'll have peers, you will be fighting for a position among yourselves, you'll be fighting for positions with people from IIMs, from the ISBs of the world, and also from the tier 2, tier 3 colleges who are equally good, if not sometimes better, very honestly. So hence you need to be, the differentiating factor is well-bred. And I'll give an answer to, I'll ask you a question, which many of us have forgotten, a simple thing, a trick. So when you go for an interview and the interviewer tells you, have your seat, what would you say? When he gets up, shakes your hands and tell you, he says, have your seat, what would you say?
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you is, I'm just saying, thank you is good enough, but not the best. Yeah. Normally when he gets up and shakes your hand, he said, have a seat. He said, after you, sir. Thank you and after you. Right? Simple stuff. I'm saying that's called well-bred, okay? Yeah. But why, these are small things that are there, okay? Simple thing, when you're in a group, even if you're in a group, okay? I know there are a lot of ladies here, okay? But chivalry has gone out of the window. But if you look at Amitabh Bachchan, he would pull the chair for a lady to sit. Right? That's called manners. That's called, the style. When you talk of you need to have those qualities that are there, which are very, very critical. So hence, being well-bred is important. And why I'm saying this also, I'll give an example. I need to, that's an example that I keep giving. So I'm the CHRO of the organization, and you guys might think, and that's what happens is people think once you join, when we were in school, our teachers, what did our teachers would tell us? They'll tell, I still know my children, Chandra, you're representing Lamont near Calcutta, so better behave well when you're outside. Your parents will tell you, Mukherjee Khandan ka bete ho, you can't behave that way, right? But when we come to work in a institution, we feel we can do anything. But that's not the case. That's not the case in point. All of us have to deal with it appropriately. And I'll give an example for that. So if, for example, not work related, I live in Hirandani. So if I become the president of my society, of one of the buildings, and I do something wrong, and I'm put behind bar, okay? The next day, what will be the headlines in the newspaper? Depending on what organization, if I was working in NSC, for sure the front page. If I was working in Colgate, the front page. If I'm working for Magic Bus, because we are a NGO, we'll go to third page. But what will the heading read? Can anybody help me with the heading that will be in the papers?
Yeah, like it will be president from Hiranandani, this building is in jail or something like that. So it will be
you're there, but you're not there. It will be CHRO of Magic Bus behind bars.
Right.
It will be not Hirandani, it will be CHRO of Magic Bus. That makes more. You ask any journalist for him, what is more news? How can he make the news so that it is catchy and the person is going to read? What is going to read? One of the largest NGOs. Then between that is one of the largest NGOs which had so much of funding. His CHRO is behind bars. Yeah. So I'm just coming to the point. Can then we be different when we were in school, college, with our parents or outside? No. So we have to be well-bred all throughout. So I know all of you have worked. The final example, because I enjoy doing this, the final example to you. So I'm the CHRO of whatever company you guys are working for. And if you guys go to a pub and I'm also there, okay? And I'm sloshed and I'm, all over the place doing all sorts of stupidity. How would you guys feel? And उसके साथ आपके साथ दूसरे कंपनी के भी दोस्त हैं. What do they say? देख तेरा HR का बंदा क्या कर रहा है? How would you feel? You will feel the same way you would have felt if your parents were doing something inappropriate. So when you sit and become a leader, you have to think of those things. It is no different. Guys, let me tell you, buddies, it's no different than when you work. Whether you're in school, college, home, anywhere. So corporate world, and when we talk of corporate governance, is no different. And the issues in corporate governance, what you are facing is because none of us lead our life the way we should lead. And I'm not telling you should not have fun. Trust you me. Kabhi aisa mat sochiye. Okay. Today, despite coming here, I got up in the morning and I did my 10 kilometers of 50% jog, 50% brisk walking. Okay, when it was open, I used to play my squash, tennis, go out for movies. Not that I don't party with my friends, I do, but within my limits, and I know where I should do, how I should do, what I should do. So that's what I'm talking of well-bred, and all of us need to manage that. Now, coming to the next point is, if you look at three things that anybody looks at while hiring anybody, is knowledge, skill, and attitude. What is knowledge? Knowledge comes from wherever you guys have studied. You've done engineering, you've done your engineering, you could have done it from Manipal, from IIT, or your knowledge what you've gained in Excel, or if you go to Harvard or wherever you go. The skill that you gain is from the organizations that you work for, right? And the attitude that you get is from, that's why some of you are told, is the background that you come from, the school that you study in, not from the colleges that you study in. So it's important, and also the organization that you work for, you get the right attitude. So there is a difference between if you work for Colgate, P&G, Levers versus working for any, Indian company which is family run. They have a different value systems. P&G, Colgate, Levers has a different value system. Right? So hence, when you're choosing an organization, you have, by the grace of God, you have the best of knowledge, okay? Which has to be, and don't think that because you've studied in IIT, IIM, Excel, you yes have the knowledge, you are a diamond, has to be fine, but you still need to add to your knowledge that comes from, but your skill, you get your skill based on where you are working. And why I'm emphasizing that, so hence choose your organization based on what skill sets that you want to get. Because I know all of you all, and there's very few of us who do not need or do not want to make good money, including me. Okay, today I can work in Magic Bus with 1/10 of my salary because I have, by God's grace, worked well, done well, saved enough. Because I know it's expensive to send my children to US to study without loan. So yes, but I don't come from a filthy rich family either. But money or your position comes from the skill that you acquire. After a point, every education becomes same across. Whether you've passed from Symbiosis or you've passed from Excel or Bajaj, okay, but what will make you different is the skill that you have and the attitude that you have. That is going to be a differentiating factor. So hence choose your organization that's going to give you exposure, that's going to give you the skill that you require. And in the beginning of your life, never go for compensation. And I'll give you an example because I've worked for an FMCG and I've worked for finance organizations, okay? And the best example that I give, when guys from we used to be a day zero company in Colgate, right? Colgate used to be day zero, but Colgate isn't day zero. Why? Because Colgate doesn't pay as much of compensation as the banks pay, right? But a guy from IIM would join marketing in a bank, but not join Colgate or P&G or Levers is harakiri. Because after 10 years from From FMCG, you can join a bank. From a bank, you can come out. And your canvas is not that big. Your exposure is not that great. The same way, if a person if he wants to do HR, should he join a FMCG or join a bank? I would say join an FMCG because your exposure is that much more end to end. Okay, and then you can make your big bucks. So please, that's very important, and have the right attitude, and that's very critical. And that's one of the most important aspect that is there. Okay, and when I say attitude, I will explain to you what is called attitude. Okay, you having the inclination of being multi-skilling. Okay, multi-skilled person. Okay, don't look at only one skill. If you want to be a finance professional, don't think, okay, मैं सिर्फ treasury करने वाला हूँ. If I'm going to do only treasury, I'll become a treasury head, but I won't become a CFO. So if I become a CFO, if I don't become a CFO and retire as a treasury head, will I get more money or less money? Obviously, lesser moolah, right? And it's important to choose. Again, one more point I have to emphasize: you need to choose the organizations that you want to be in. For example, if I'm an HR professional, I love my HR profession, okay, and I want to be a CEO, can I become a CEO in a bank? Okay, is no, less chances. So if I am a HR professional, chances of being a CEO in a FMCG could be slightly higher, but finance was too technical subject sort of stuff, right? But at the same time, if I want to be a marketing guru, okay, and a CEO, okay, then which are the organizations that make a marketing guy a head of? Is FMCG, right? Wrong. You look at any of the marketing guys who CEOs of FMCG are all marketing guys. Okay, now coming to that, I guess you guys are from Excel, so I hope while putting your CVs, writing all that, I hope you know the difference between a sales job and a marketing job. Because I keep seeing people writing everywhere, मैं marketing का काम कर रहा हूँ. But everybody technically is doing a sales job. Period. So you guys look at that and understand that. The second thing, which is very, very critical now, I guess all of you are, most of you are engineers, so that is not a problem. At least in my times, it used to be a problem. But there are some people I know still, are not happy doing it. But technology, knowledge of technology is very critical. Extremely critical. There's no way any of us can survive without understanding technology and how it works. Okay. Even a guy like me had to understand and needs to understand, because when I'm implementing SAP or PeopleSoft, the EHR modules, okay, the entire module, I need to understand how it's going to impact, what is going to happen. I may not know the intricacy of coding, like my daughter or my son knows coding and they're, coders and things of that sort. And when you want to do a techie job, then coding is deep thing to know, right? So now let me also give you this, and this is an example from my own family and my daughter. So when she was looking for a job in, it's not like in India, you got campus recruitment, things of that sort. So you have to solicit jobs when you're in US and you pass out from the Ivy League colleges. So my daughter was hell-bent. How many of you are have done your IT, techie guys? Some of you would be there, right? So, so she was refused to take program jobs, a program manager job, but she wanted a product manager's job. Why? Because if you look at people who become CEOs in an IT company, are product managers, whether it's Satya Nadella, yeah. So you guys should know exactly when you're doing where, what will take me where, and what is my ambition and what I want to become. And I'm no way I'm telling, again, I'm being slightly philosophical, also making you understand, because it's more of a, sharing. Becoming a CEO also, you're not the most successful person in life. Okay? Because if you become a CEO and become the CEO of Microsoft, but your children are drug addicts, are you a successful person? The answer is no. So success has got nothing to do what you become professionally. Success is the entire bouquet of things. How successful are you professionally and on the personal front, and everything together. So I will, rest there. Then obviously less, I can't harp less on this being a team player. So your attitude is most important. And when I say team player, I would always say is having a healthy competition is important with your peers or with your peers also. But do not ever try to undermine the organization to show you're better. And that's the trap that all of us get into it. So teamwork is another very important thing that people look at. People also look at how you would handle pressure. Because today's world is high pressure job, how you can handle pressure. So I would again here recommend that all of you all need to be, okay, now can I ask this question? Are successful people unidimensional or multidimensional? Can any of you answer whatever?
Multidimensional.
Mostly multi-dimensional.
Why?
Multidimensional.
Why? That's a good answer. Why?
So because the attitude remains the same, whichever sector you are in, whether it's a public, whether it's your professional or your personal or your communication skill or interaction with anyone, the basic attitude is going to be the same. So the piece.
No, you're there, but I'll try to explain to you, slightly, more elaborately. When I say multidimensional, it means I am strong, okay, in my work, but I have other hobbies to deal with. Painting, singing, sports, other activities. Why? Because then you can handle pressure better. So I'll tell you what I do. Okay, and you look at any leader that you have in the world, who does very well, whether it's a corporate leader, okay, or anybody else, whether it's Raghuram Rajan or the CEO of Microsoft or whoever they are, they're all multidimensional people. Because you can handle pressure. Simple example, I'll tell you how I handle pressure. When I'm a sportsman, I should be a national and table tennis player, but obviously I don't get partners. I play squash. So मैं क्या करता हूँ? Saturday, Sunday को जाके I play squash. तो अगर I am irritated with my boss or my subordinate or my peer, बॉल को बहुत जोर से मारता हूँ उसका नाम लेके, तो सारा प्रेशर मेरा रिलीज हो जाता है, right? But don't ever release pressure by doing the wrong things, which is the wrong habits. But release pressure through singing, through even going to, if going to a temple can release your pressure, do that. But I'm just saying is, you should be multi-dimensional. If you love to read books, you'll have to do something else. Always in life, please do have other things. Because as it is, the good thing with you guys and most of today's generation is you have two legs to stand on. You have a technical knowledge and you have managerial skills of doing an MBA and engineering. So if one goes bad, technically you can look at it. But in India, that is not the case even today, because in India, the sad part is you're still looked at, oh, Chandra, have you worked in telecom? Then you can handle HR, where the scripts are the same. Okay, but the people do that in India, but they do not do abroad. In India, if you become 50 plus, oh, bhai buddhe ho gaye. But when you go abroad, you're 65 also, you get a job. It all depends on what you're doing or not doing. But India is getting there, will get there for sure. Things are changing in a big way, because, you need to, and there are people, when I'm saying you need to, while dealing with pressure, you need to be fit also. For your mental fitness, you need your physical fitness. So please look at your health. Look at how you want to deal with things. Yeah, and trust you me, the pressure is going to increase many folds. And let me go back to business models to tell you why. In yesteryears, a business to reach its peak used to take extended period of time, 20 years, 25 years. In 20 years or 25 years, Tata became what Tata was, or Reliance became what Reliance was. Reliance was much faster, that's different. Okay. But today, a company can become number one within 2 years and become zero within next 1 year back. So that's the pressure that you guys are going to be with. So please learn to handle pressure, and coming with pressure, and your pressure gets mounted because you guys have to learn to live with and handling ambiguity. Ambiguity in laws, ambiguity in bosses, ambiguity in business models, ambiguity with what's happening. There's so much ambiguity around. And that's the truth. That's the fact that is there. So you guys have to deal with ambiguity, learn to deal with it. So hence, to remove the ambiguity, never take shortcut, please. And you guys are, most of your engineers will understand this. Processes are very critical. Doing in the right process is the most critical aspect. And no better way to explain. And in different eras, cricketers have been there. Gavaskar and Srikanth. Who was better? Who scored more runs? Gavaskar, right?
Gavaskar.
Why? Because he played cricket the right way.
Consistency.
Right? Sachin Tendulkar versus Sehwag. Sehwag did better than Srikanth for sure, but Sachin scored all the runs because, again, of everything into it, including his attitude. So these are important things to understand in life. So please never, for anything that you do, anywhere that you live, do not bypass process. And when I say process, I'm not telling that you need to, procrastinate. I'm not saying that. And remove, and you, when doing a process, always look at what business excellence talk, removing the unnecessary processes also. It is not shortcut. Repetitive, unnecessary process. You have to do process improvement for whatever you do, whether you're a marketing guy or HR guy, whether you're IT person, anybody that, in life also, in your personal life. So it is very, very critical that you look at, that's how you will, remove the ambiguity that is there. All of us need to be very flexible in life. Flexibility is very critical. Flexibility of thought, flexibility of process, flexibility of ideas, flexibility of everything. None of us have to be. And today, if you look at the problem in society is, what we are facing is because we are all inflexible people, we try to look at things not the way it should be looked at. We look at through our prism. So मैं देखता हूँ, I'm an Indian, so I look at things that, in a way, I'm a Hindu, I look at it in a certain way. If I'm from Bengal, I look at a certain way. I'm from UP, I look at a certain way. But that's not the case. The fact, when you're working in a corporate, also that happens and should not happen. Because we have to decipher what is right and decipher what is wrong. And even if I don't like a person, he may also or she may also tell me something which is right. And he or she who has told me something is right, I may not dislike the person, but that right is right. It cannot become a wrong. And the best example is Sushant Singh Rajput's death. All of us may want to feel that he's not murdered. He's murdered rather, but he's not, if that's what they're saying. And we have to support that. There's nothing that any of us can do. Right? But we should not color it. So these are some things that, that's why flexibility is very critical. And flexibility, because we have to choose the right aspects of life, right aspects of the organization, right aspects of everything. The next one which I like to say is we all need to be keen learners. At this age, I'm going to be 57. I have not stopped learning. I'm still learning from my son, from my daughter, what she tells me, what she does. Okay. And things have changed. When I was to work in Colgate, I used to go to US, and today US is different. Today the hiring process in the US is different than what used to be when, when I used to work in Colgate and hire people, when I was posted there. So learning and change, these are two constant things in life. You will keep changing jobs, you will keep changing. The only thing, obviously, my recommendation, please do not change your family, okay, which we cannot. And obviously, don't change your better halves. That doesn't make sense in life. Okay. You keep hunting, you will keep hunting, wo bhagte rahoge, kabhi milega nahi. Right? So, just to come back and being, lecturing, so in a more lighter way, I always keep telling my children, I tell my son, दो चीज के पीछे मत भागना. ठीक है? So let me start with my daughter. What I tell my daughter: दो चीज के पीछे मत भागना. पहले पैसे के पीछे मत भागना और लड़कों के पीछे मत भागना. और लड़का को उल्टा बोलता हूँ, पैसे के पीछे मत भागना, लड़की के पीछे मत भागना. कि खड़े रहोगे दोनों जगह, दोनों आपके पास आएंगे. आप दोनों के पीछे भागते रहोगे, you will never get both of them. वो आप, they are not going to come to you. Right? If you are good, if you have the competency of being a good man or a woman or a professional, सब आपके पास आएंगे. So, so that's what is important. So the other thing is very important that when you join anywhere, and you have to realize, I know some of you all have worked, but and all of you have got quite a bit of experience, but nevertheless, wherever you start job, where you're going to start, you're going to be treated, may not be treated as fully a fresher, but you're fresh. So let me ask you a question in cricket. Saurav Ganguly, Sachin Tendulkar, Sehwag, Gavaskar, Richard, Vivian Richards, how have they progressed? What have they done first on a cricket field? What have they done first? Any answers, guys and ladies? When I say guys, it's both sex. It's unisex nowadays. Tell me, guys. Yeah.
They were all openers, and they were the aggressive, most aggressive players.
No, what did they do first when they started playing, when they came in the team?
Learned from others.
They've spent those hours on the field working.
Sorry?
They've spent those hours on the field.
See, that's so okay. So let me tell you what they. Yeah, anybody else?
I actually don't have any cricket knowledge, but I feel like they set a precedent for the upcoming, generation of cricketers potentially. I mean, I don't watch cricket. So it's a huge blind.
I think they didn't follow the precedent. They started making their own way in their career.
They scored runs.
And set a precedent for the upcoming ones. Basically.
Whatever all of you all have said is right. But
maybe
the
they
first
were
thing,
12th person in the team.
Yeah, that's right. What you are saying is right. The first thing they all did the job was they were 12th man. They carried drinks to the field. The पहला काम जो मिलता है drinks में field, they carried drinks to the field, right? So when you all go and when you were freshers, when you did your first job, all of you did photocopy, right? So all of us think हम अब तो हम MBA कर लिया, Excel से पास, Harvard से आ गए, now तो मैं तो dude बन गया. कोई dude नहीं, आपका ragging होने वाला है, right? And the second thing what they did, tell me now. Second thing what Sachin, because it's for the hall it was more interactive. I can. The second thing that they did, they all were 12th man, right? And drinks. And the second thing, they did, they fielded in fine leg, the longest boundaries, jahan se they had to run the maximum and throw the ball hard, right? Or in fine leg and short leg where they get hit. You will never see Gavaskar standing there मार खाने के लिए. जब Gavaskar था, तो Gavaskar के सामने जब सचिन आएगा, सचिन मार खाने बैठेगा उधर. ठीक है? जब आप, unless you are a very good slip fielder, तो आपको slip मिलता, नहीं तो बुढ़ापे में जाके slip में catching करने मिलता. So जब CEO बनेंगे तो आपको corner office मिलेगा. उसके पहले corner office नहीं मिलने वाला है आपको. So all of you all gave your answers that you gave, an MBA answer. I'm talking what happens. But that doesn't mean what you said is wrong. All you said was right. You have to do that. But I'm saying in life, you have to go through that. It's a simple thing. अगर घर में, right? जब हम छोटे थे, हम पानी लाते थे. हम थोड़े बड़े हुए, हमारा छोटा भाई या छोटे बहन लाते थे. ठीक है? अब हम कहीं जाते थे. You tell me one thing. Even if you become a CEO and you go to meet your father, Huh? Will you get up or he'll get up to get when there's no servant at home at that point? You'll only get up. Na CEO तो होंगे आप ऑफिस में, घर में तो आप बेटा है ना. So same way, there's a learning from sports. Okay, I keep telling that, and let me give you this answer. Let me tell you this very honestly. What my MBA has not taught me, and what sports has taught me, is to lead and to be led. And all of us go through that in life. So if you look at sports, even today, Sachin is Sachin, but we'll call Gavaskar a sir. Have you ever seen Sachin calling Gavaskar some other name? No. So बाप हमेशा बाप ही होता है, बेटा हमेशा बेटा ही होता है. How many of you all are, okay, you would be, some of you will be in hostels, right? And I guess you must be lucky guys, you didn't get ragged. We used to go through ragging. So what are the rules in the hostel? If you got ragged, after ragging, throughout your 4 years there in engineering college, your senior will give you tea, coffee, he will treat you for everything. You never put your hand in your pocket, right? And when you went out also, you may have become bigger than your senior, but when your senior takes you out, वो टपरी में ले जाएगा बेचारा, not done as well as you would, but he'll pay for the tea, coffee. But आप उसको sir बोलेंगे. So in corporate also, we have to learn if we want to become great leaders, because that comes me to a point. Now I want to ask you all a question. Then let's have the discussion. To become the CEO of an organization or leader, are you jack of all, master of few, or master of all and jack of few? Let me hear some answers to this.
So jack of all, master of few. This is
Why?
what I
Why?
Sir, the CEO is at the apex of the organization, and he should have knowledge regarding every aspect of the organization, but specialization in some parts.
Great answer. So now coming to my next point, when you are no, absolutely right. When you have said that you are jack of all, master of few. So what does that tell you? Even if you're the CEO or you're the boss, you need to take inputs from others, because the place that others are master, you have to allow that person to speak or tell his inputs, right or wrong.
Right, sir.
Huh? So I'm sure when you did your Excel or where you studied, I don't think nobody has told you on this count. We all want to be leaders, but leaders are not experts in all fields. We tend to feel I'm sitting on top, so I know everything. I do not know everything. Even in HR, only if I'm blessed and worked in all aspects, I will still not know everything. If you ask me honestly, one of my areas of improvement is compensation and benefits, right? But there are others which I'm very, very strong on. So if I have a comp and ben specialist, whoever he or she is, I will listen to her, and I need to listen to her, take her advice. I may discuss, I may have my point of view because of experience. So I'm giving you examples to make it a point to you that there's something called Juta Silai to Chandi Pat. Don't try to wanting to do Chandi Pat, going and batting and hitting sixers first. Pehle Juta Silai start karo. Right? And then don't think because you become a manager or general manager, you know everything. So hence all that, when you go to Glassdoor and see all that feedback that you now join a company looking at that feedback, after 10 years, you will see your name there. Don't worry if you don't behave the right way. If you don't want to see your name in the Glassdoor, so whatever I've told you, if you delete that day, your name will never come on the Glassdoor. Let me give you one more tip to be successful. Always do the opposite of what you have felt hurt about. Whether the way your parents have dealt with you, or whether the way your bosses have dealt with you. Because if you have felt hurt, that means that thing was not right. But that doesn't happen in a normal case. So let me ask, and I'll give you the answer, and what happens in life, let me tell you. So hostelers who have been in a hostel and who have gone through ragging, there are 3 reactions to a ragging. The first reaction to a ragging is and there are three sets of people. Hey, ragging is a ganda cheez, galat cheez, main nahi karunga. So there are certain personal people, when they become seniors, don't rag. The second percentage of people are, I got ragged, I will rag the person 10 times more. My junior को सारा जो boss senior ने किया उसका 10 गुना ज़्यादा करूँगा. That's the second type. The third type are, ragging is not bad, but how the seniors did, I didn't appreciate it. I will do it differently, make it more interesting, make it more fun. Now tell me, in life, in normal life, which is the most prevalent reaction?
The second one. I mean, my college had banned ragging, but I think from all the stories that I've heard from my engineering friends, I think the second one is the most prevalent one.
So why do we do that?
We're very vindictive in nature, but it feels
the
like our experience made us feel like, you know, it was a rite of face and everyone needs to go through it.
So that's why I'm saying do the opposite of what I felt hurt. Because if you want to become a successful manager, if you're going to repeat what your seniors have done, which you thought was not right, okay, firstly, it is wrong to do something which is not right. If you have said this is not right, okay, if you have felt, for example, if you have felt the way your parents have dealt with you is not right, if you do the same with your children, are you going to do? And let me tell you, when it comes to parents, children, offices also, things change with times. The way my father dealt with me when I used to stay, because my mother was an Italian, so I was in Lovedale, I used to go to hospital because I lost my mother. Cancer. My father was so strict that if every Saturday, Sunday, I had to write a letter to him, and he will not say love you, he will reply back and show me the corrections. And जब airport में मिलते थे, पहले पूछते थे 5 बार mistake लिखा था कि नहीं तुमने? Have you done the spelling corrections and show me the spelling corrections? वो तो हक वक्त तो दूर की बात. ठीक है? Today my son comes and if I hug him and say, Dad, ab gay come karo. Okay, so that's how life has changed. So you have to change with life. What I mean to say. Then what will happen is, I lost my father last year, but the gap between my father and me was such that I loved and respected him, but I couldn't sit in front of him more than half an hour. But me and my son can sit the whole day. I can watch the type of movies he watches and I enjoy. जहां मतलब बेइंतहा गाली बकते हैं, okay? I'm fine with that. So you have to change. What I mean to say is, all this is I'm saying is you need to change with times. You need to see how things are going to move. And corporate world is all about it. Don't, please, there are people, and again, if you, like I said, you need to call a spade and spade. Everybody. Okay, and I'm coming to a very controversial topic to tell you this. Example, I don't believe in any party, but I'm just saying is, whether it's Modi, Mamata, or Rahul Gandhi, okay, all of them have good points and all of them have areas of improvement. So it's our choice what we choose. And in the same way with our bosses, same way with our parents, and same way the thing. And when we learn to take the right things, we will be better human beings, we'll be better professionals. So you need to, so when you go to a consulting, what do consulting do when they're looking at creating a competency framework? They'll come and tell you, okay, tell me which are your high performers. Okay. And they speak to them and find from them which are the competencies made them do that. And then they look at competencies. So that's how you need to look at it. But look at the positive side of it. But there are some competencies which make, now again, let me add, you also should understand what sort of a person you are to join any organization. Don't think that you have done well in X organization, you're going to do well in the Y organization, because the environment is totally different there. And let me explain to you in 2 examples and your jargons of management jargons. Okay. In appraisal systems, you've got what you've achieved and how you've achieved. There are organizations which focus on what you've achieved, is the result, but they are not bothered of how you've achieved. Right? And if you are a person who achieves and does well, but you're also particular about how you've done a thing, means have the right attitude, have the right values, you cannot adjust in that organization. Right? And the second thing, which is again very critical, all of us have got this, and MBA jargon, other management jargon, task orientation and relationship orientation. And this is something that people keep asking, okay? Now, if I ask you this question, what will make you successful? What orientation makes you successful? Answers.
Good combination of both.
So we have to be behind both.
Yeah, but to have both is not an easy task.
No, it's not.
And
Because one becomes important than the other oftentimes. When you have to look at the task, you end up hurting somebody. When you're looking at the relationship, you hurt the task.
Right, but the person who can handle it the right way, and you can handle it if you have the right processes in place. Now, let me give you an example. As HR, I always believe, when I do my work, I always tell a person, if you're asking me leave, I've got no problems giving you leave, but ensure that when you're not there, somebody else does the work. So I put a process in place. And if tomorrow, I'm just saying, I keep joking, and that's a fact. Okay, as an HR professional, even if my daughter gets married in the month of, February, March, April, May, I can never take leave. But that's the month that I have to work for. Employees give their salaries and all that stuff. Okay. But if my colleague comes and tells me there's something in my home, what will I do? I should give her leave, because I always say, when you come to me, and if your personal issue is more important than the work, then you need to go. And I need to support you, and I need to ensure that there is a system and process that takes care of. So as a leader, you should ensure that there are two things you need to do as a leader. You need to ensure that your department, you're not dependent on anybody in the department. So I have a process that everybody is interdependent and does work together. And to grow, you need to make yourself what? Redundant. So if you want to go up the corporate ladder, you need to go and tell your job, I know this job, I've got 10 more people can take me, tell me which next job I can take. So when you're leading a team, you should ensure that you create a team that people can back up each other. And to go up the corporate ladder, you need to get yourself redundant, that your boss can never give you promotion if he or she is totally dependent on you for that department, that task, that thing. But as human, what we do, we tend to feel that if I'm indispensable, I'm the safest guy in the world. That's not the case that happens. Now, some of you may have questions whether I should join a large organization or a small organization. So my answer is, like I've already told you you need to look at organization that's where you're going to have learning. And the first 10 years of your life, you should look at what are the competencies that you're going to add. That my boss, his name is Jyotirmay Bose, okay? When I was in Times of India, he said a very good thing, okay? He used to tell me that every 6 months I sit to write my CV. If I can add a point or a row to my CV, then I should stay back in the job. The day I stop, I don't have points to add, then I have to look for some other job, because I'm not adding to my CV value. So first 10 years, please see what you add to your CV. And it's after the 10th year that you start earning and get the bucks because of what you've added to the CV. That doesn't mean you don't keep adding to your CV. Learning and adding skills doesn't stop. So I would always say, please join organizations, even if it pays you slightly less, where you get. Cool. So there are other things that you should know, because when you become senior, it will be applicable to you. And you must have heard this. People join organizations and leave whom? Bosses.
Managers.
Employers, yeah, bosses.
Bosses, managers, bosses, whatever you call it. So you guys are going to become managers and bosses one day. Huh? Sorry? So all the Glassdoor feedbacks that you see, I'm again saying, please remember all these things in life. Because I'll give you an example. Let me give you an example. Okay. And I've worked that's happened with me. Colgate, according to me, is a blue blood company. It's the best place to work. A great organization. I always give examples of Colgate. मैं Colgate खाता हूँ अभी तक, right? So, but despite Colgate having the best processes, everything, but there used to be one-off cases where the guys used to be not great. The person is retired, but there's a guy in secretary legal department. Nobody, Colgate being the #1 company, nobody would want to join that because people knew इस बंदे के अंडर काम नहीं करना हमको. So please do not. Now, one more point you should all be aware of, especially you all would want to grow in life. You should be aware of it for two reasons. One, you should be aware that what people look at. And second, why you should be aware is then you can also manage your own expectations. So let me ask you a question. So what is more important when you want to promote a person? Performance or potential?
Both.
Both.
Both. Potential.
Sorry?
Potential.
Potential to perform.
You all are saying the right answer. You need both for sure. That's the right answer. But when we perform, we also overestimate our potential. Yes or no?
We work according to our potential.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Potential is always for a higher role. It's a higher role. You do your current job very well. Your current job is your performance.
So
your potential is, can you do a higher role? Can you do a better role?
So I think in my previous organization, there was a rule. It was an unsaid rule. I mean, even though you're judged on your performance, the unsaid rule was if you've not started picking up and doing things that are required for the next role, you will never make it to that role. So in that sense, so performance is important because you're showing consistency in what you're doing right now. But potential is important because if you want to make it to the next level, you have to show potential for it also. So that's how the two are important.
So has your professors walked you through the 9-box model?
Could you repeat that?
Grid,
Which model?
9-box performance potential grid.
Not yet, I think. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay. So when you look at it, you will see that performance versus potential. You're supposed to be in that quadrant over there. Right? So the question is, and I'll tell you why, and you need to understand. There's a saying that a guy who's a very high performer, right? And you promote him, okay? So there's this, when a person who was a great fitter, you promote him as a foreman. So what happens? It is a double whammy. If that guy cannot perform, you lose a great fitter and create a lousy foreman. So you've lost a fitter and lost a foreman two together. And for us also, we have to realize there are sometimes we perform very well in a job, but do we have the potential also? We ourselves have to realize. And that will make us happier in life. That will make us crib less in life. That will make us more grounded. All of us want to become the Prime Minister of the country, but do all of us have the potential? And also, God has to be with us. Luck is also important. Okay, you need 10 to 15% luck for whatever you do. I'm not saying that. But we all have to, and let me give you a corporate input, okay? If you look at levers, you always have 3 to 4 people who are there for the top job. Okay, what happens after that? When among the 4, one gets the job, what happens? Two leave the organization, one stays back in the organization. The two who leave, they know they want to go outside. इसके अंदर मेरा काम नहीं करना क्योंकि मेरा junior था, senior था, जो भी था. And one said, यार अच्छा बंदा मेरा दोस्त है, I will work with him, कोई problem नहीं. But is the best guy who gets the job? Maybe yes or maybe no. Because for that situation, you choose a person of that sort. And let me give you another jargon also. When you're choosing people as leaders, there are three types of leaders. I have that thing. One is a fly-by-night operator. Yeah, who 2 मिनट काम किया, पैसा बनाया, निकल गया. The second is a deal maker, who is just good at making deals. The third is an institution builder. So if some of you have worked in the banks, you'll know this. So if you have a fly-by-night operator, तो कभी लेना ही नहीं चाहिए leader में. अगर if you take a deal maker as a leader, कभी नहीं होगा. He's living by deal to deal. He's not there to create an organization. So you need to choose what you want to be. And so obviously, if you want to be a deal, if you like that job, then obviously wholesale banking, retail banking is a great job. But will you make a great leader? The answer is no. And you should be clear about it. And the other thing for your potential. Now, let me tell you what is potential, how is potential assessed. Your functional competencies, and many of us do this mistake. We look only at our functional competency when we join an organization. And we think our functional competency will get me promotions. It will take you thus far and no further. You need to have great functional competencies and the behavioral competency also, which is your leadership managerial competencies to take you up the corporate ladder. The functional competencies are your performance, your leadership and behavioral competencies are your potential. So please hone your skills on both sides if you want to be successful. So I am more or less there, and we've got about 24 odd minutes. So I'd like to take questions. I think I've covered quite a bit, so I think make it more interactive. Questions for me to whatever, make it as difficult as you want, and happy to answer.
Can I go first? So there is a common, and I wouldn't say conception, it's actual reality in organizations that whatever people perceive of you becomes reality of you, right? So the impression that you leave, maybe you're working 8 hours out of 10, but if you're there 14 hours, you're kind of forming an impression in terms of the amount of work you're doing, as an example. But in general, your perception becomes your reality when it comes to performance, when it comes to promotion, when it comes to anything in the organization. How good or bad is that from an organization standpoint, or is this just a norm that we should accept and go with?
So that's where when you choose the organization and the culture of the organization, that's the point that you need to choose. And there would be bosses in certain organizations where the culture doesn't believe in that, but there would be some guys who feel that, right? So then you have to be smart in operating those environments. Okay. So
sorry, sir, I think your voice got cut for me at least.
Blah, blah. So you draft a mail, keep in the mailbox. You can hear now?
Now I can hear you, yes.
Okay, so I said,
I'm just turning my video off to increase bandwidth. I think I'm having a issue with hearing you. I think now it should be fine. I'm so sorry for that.
After the mailbox, go to the gym, enjoy your gym, have the other activities here in the office, leave office by 7:38, send the mail at that time. Simple as that. But is that the right culture? The answer is no.
Is there an organization that goes away from this culture though? Because
yeah, there are many organizations who don't believe in it. I worked in a number of organizations who do not believe in it, but there could be a couple of bosses you may be unlucky who believes in that.
got it.
And if that boss is indispensable and the most critical function is handling, then that's your bad luck.
Ji sir.
Okay, but you can still change things over there, right? By talking, by understanding, doing stuff which is there, being smarter. There are lots that you can do, but never give up. My answer is that never give up.
Ji sir. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sir, a question I have that, are you able to hear me, sir?
Yeah, I can hear you clear, loud and clear.
Sir, why there is a thing like that visibility is more important than anything in today's corporate world? Because we need to be more visible in terms of what we are doing. We need to ask questions, we need to be more presentable, kind of things.
See, it's natural. Now, can I give you a simple example? Two ways. Visibility is two things, okay, and has positive and negative connotations. And I keep telling people that, okay. So when I was coming for this, today's a Saturday, Sunday, and because it's Excel, so I asked this question. So when I do a guest lecture to IT crowd, I can wear a t-shirt, whatever it is. Okay, so different places have different culture, organizations. So have you ever gone to an airport and seen the flight attendant or people there at the airport not well dressed?
Everyone is well dressed,
right? So obviously, being well dressed is part of that value systems and culture. Nobody wants, would you want your CEO not to look good looking? Good looking is wrong word, presentable. So communication plays an important part. So communicating well, communicating thoughts, because when you become a leader, one of the most important aspects is you can communicate with the people. Leaders are lousy when they cannot communicate and make the right sense of communicate. You're not seen as communicating to everybody.
Can we get this inference that if we are seeing someone having potential, then there need to be some visibility in him or her?
There should be visibility, and see, it's as if I'm the leader, I need to groom that person. Not everybody can communicate. People have stage fright. Some people can speak by birth; they are natural. But when you develop, you can develop the skills. But it's the organization's job to do that, to find that potential. I will give an example how I say it. One more crude way of saying how we're a good potential person. So when you do a good job, okay, and your manager knows you've done a good job, okay, that means meets expectation. When the manager's peers knows that you've done a good job, right? That means your exceeds expectation. And if your super boss knows that you've done a good job, that is exceptional. So you have to ensure that happens. Now I'll give an example, and that's an example. So I have two sets in my home, my daughter and my son. Okay, my daughter is a person who does everything and communicates very well. She's an Albert Barrow scholar. She's a Frank Cannon debater, national runner-up. NIE, all 90 plus, blah blah blah. Sab bol lijiye, sab ne. She's done everything. My son, okay, communication, he would not like to do it. SOP लिखने में उसको नानी दादी याद आ रहा है, ठीक है, because he's going to next year, supposed to go. But again, he gets family mark, blah blah blah. He works for an American company. So I was surprised to hear that he went and said, because he has to give references and they have to give him his references. Not only his line managers giving reference, his line manager's boss is giving reference. Who said, ask the director भी बोलेगा, and वो पट्टा सिर्फ 1 साल का काम किया अभी तक. So you have to be lucky you're working in that organization or he's done that sort of job. Right? And the way that boss treated him, because now he's come back to Bombay because of the thing, he works from home. He's come and said, Dad, I was surprised. I had to give a presentation. People from US were sitting. So I did it. But my boss was very smart. He asked me to start the presentation only, and I could see only 3 people there. Okay. And then he didn't see that the guys from US came in, whoever came in, apna patha, yeah. So you have to groom. So I said, now that's how you learn. So what I mean to say is, all of us have to get out of our inhibitions. It is not like मैं cricket खेल रहा हूँ, pitch में वही बोल रहा हूँ, मेरे को आके बोलना. लेकिन will anybody make a person a captain if he cannot speak? He may be the most brilliant mind. Again, an example: Sachin Tendulkar versus Saurav Ganguly. The world's best batsman could not become the best captain, but Saurav Ganguly became
the best captain.
Another learning, when you said this, let me tell you, Saurav Ganguly is a great example of how we have to deal with things. Okay, sorry, I'm just one more second I'll take. Because I just reminded and I should tell you. Look at difference between Sachin and Saurav. If Sachin didn't play well, the press never went after him. But Saurav did one small mistake, the press went after him. Why?
Because he's the captain.
No. Because he had the attitude. वो गलत वाला attitude था शुरू में. ठीक है? दादागिरी करता था पहले. Right? So, but today you look at him. Today he's become even more sophisticated, even more, because he's learnt it. He's learnt it and he's changed himself. Today he's a statesman-like guy when he speaks. He doesn't have that. Whereas पीछे से आराम से वो दादागिरी अभी भी करता है, because that's how organizations run. That's what it is. So that's what you guys have to learn. So, but don't learn the wrong things. There are people who do showbaji, who project themselves as great performers, but आखिरी में गिर जाते धड़क से. Never ever, never ever show something which you don't have. Okay, don't portray something which is not. Don't take somebody else. Today or tomorrow it will come out in the open, and then you will have a bad time.
Thank you.
Cool.
Sir. Thank you. Sir.
Anybody else?
Sir, Prithviraj here.
Yeah.
So you said you need to work towards being redundant, and I also have read somewhere that when you join an organization, you should work towards finding your own replacement.
Yeah.
Like training a junior or something.
Yeah.
But if there are no promotion or no higher management opportunities, then you are creating a cheap option to replace yourself for the management.
No, I would still say that when you don't have that, you will anyway leave the organization. No.
Okay, but
then you by making yourself redundant, you are going to learn more. It's in your interest. So I'll take it the other way. I believe either the organization takes care of me or I take care of myself.
Achha.
That's my philosophy. And that's work. If you want to grow up and grow in life, then you have to do that. And it'll happen all of us in different stages of life. And you're right. If you become redundant and you actually do not bring value, the problem what happens is you will lose your job only if you become redundant and you do not add skills to yourself. If your usefulness goes, then you're out. Because your cost, it's a game of cost. How do IT firms work? They have the bachas doing everything and you've got one guy who's got the know-how, does everything, right? You're managing costs. That's the game of the cost. So you have to be ahead of the curve. And as you grow up, guys like us, so we're luckier. You know, our curves didn't come up so fast, but you guys are going to face it. So you'll always have to work towards being ahead of the curve. Have I made sense?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Hello, sir. I'm Rashika.
Hi.
Sir, I have a question. Like you were saying that we need to take care of our juniors and our team who's working with us. For example, that example that you gave of leaves if they want at a critical point of time. So when we are planning project, if let's say we take a buffer vis-a-vis a manager who isn't really planning on taking the buffers for such unforeseen situations, then my boss would obviously prefer the other manager more, right? So how is it that we should deal with this trade-off?
No, so the question is, I don't think that's the case. What happens is most people or managers, unless वो खड़ूस है and he's got one of the, you will get sick people always, okay, everywhere. But why should you change? Why should you or me or any of us change in life? We will all guess, please trust you, me. We will have 80% of great experience, but 20% of shitty experience. And because of which none of us should change. And I tell you this, for else, in life, all of us will go through the ups and downs. All of us will celebrate our happy moments, and all of us will celebrate our happy moments, and all of us will also go through our sad moments. And all of us will need support during our sad moments. So if I don't support my co-employee at that point of time, okay, what I would do in that case, I will develop and do his or her work also. And I'll redistribute work. So all of us will do 10%, 20% more work. People are doing it. My son is doing it. I asked him why. I said, Diwali, already working. I said, no. He said, there are others who have asked for leave. They're going, so I'm there. So there are people who do it. And let me tell you, no business can ever plan. No boss can ever plan for peak demands or peak anything unforeseen. Can any business plan for COVID-19? So you have to leave it to God. You have to leave it. So while working, your soul, you should not leave. You should not forget your soul. You should not destroy the soul. And that will not lead you to be a successful, a happy human being. So it's something like this. If I've had a bad marriage, okay, I can't carry the history of my bad marriage into my new marriage thinking aise hone wala. It doesn't work that way. If I still believe in the institution of marriage, then I have to think, I'll be luckier this time for sure. So there's no straight answer, but my answer always is that do the right thing, and things will fall in place.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
So what has been your greatest failure and learnings in life?
What is my greatest failure and learning in life?
You could share that.
Yeah, my greatest failure in life is, very honestly, is not being able to handle, what should I say, inappropriate things appropriately. I have not been able to be politically right. The way I'm speaking to you, I'm not being politically right. I cannot be politically right. So, and I pray that everybody tries to be at the right time, but there are some times you cannot be. But I have not been politically right when I was even younger than you guys. So the question is that those are something inherent talent, and I feel I should work towards it. And when I say that, like I said, there's a 80-20 rule. 80% of times that has helped me in life. 20% of times that has not helped me. And that has not helped me in organizations which have not had the culture. Okay, and that has affected me the maximum when I've become the CHRO. When I'm junior, it doesn't affect me as much because, the bosses, you're under somebody and so that boss can manage or because you do great work and all that stuff. But when you have to go up the corporate ladder, you need to so that's something that I'm working on quite, but
am I
yes,
the only
else?
one? Am I the only one who cannot hear, or everybody else?
No, Divya, we cannot hear.
Cannot hear.
I think sir is having some problem with the internet issue.
Yes, sir, we lost you for like 30, 40 seconds.
Your video is still stuck, I think.
Hello?
Yes, sir. Now we can hear you. For the past 1 minute, we were not able to hear you.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah. So now what I was answering him is that for me in my life is being politically correct is something that I've been trying to master over the years. I've been better, but I have not mastered it. And as you go up the corporate ladder, that's one strength that you have to have. But again, it's a trade-off: being politically right versus being saying. And if you're guys from HR, you should. I'm saying regulatory, you have to be very careful. You can hear me now, guys?
Yes, we can hear.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you've heard of what happened in McDonald's. You know of what happened? The CEO got fired.
Is it the legalities issues?
So no, why I'm telling you where it becomes you have to be politically right, but you cannot be politically right. I'll give you an example. The CEO got fired because of harassment cases, sexual harassment cases, right? But after 2 months, the HR head also was fired. They made it look that he lost because he knew of what was happening. And the board said that you should have reported it to the board. But in actuality, I know that it's very difficult for HR head to go and crib about and say this is what is happening. Because CEO, normally the board listens to the CEO. So that's a trade-off between being politically right versus. So in life, sometimes being politically right can cost you heavily.
So, sir, will you give us the advice of being politically correct or being always very honest?
I will
True to
I will tell you to
claims
balance
also.
your. I would advise you to balance it. You have to choose your battles because you need to win the war. But the choice is how you choose the battles, and there's no right answer to it. But when you know you're going to lose the battle, then that's the time you have to be. Then you can't. So, you have to work differently in different places and, look at how it is. So it's a complex situation. All of us have, and I don't blame people because all of us have different, what should I say? Have different responsibilities in life. And then sometimes we choose to become politically right because we want to get through that phase. So for example, I would never leave a job when my children are through some critical phases in life. Because I don't want to make them unstable. Right? So today I can, work in an NGO, do what I want to do stuff what I want to do. That's because my daughter is doing brilliantly well. Yeah. So that's
Okay,
what life is all about. Cool.
Thank you, sir.
So may I ask one question?
Yeah, please go ahead.
So sir, this is somewhere related to my past experience. So as a leader, he or she is the one who faces the maximum friction because he tries to bring about the change in the organization. So when I say that he faces the maximum friction, there is a lot of negativity among the peers or some like he has to challenge the current culture in the organization, or not culture, the traditions that have been followed. So how to deal with that situation in the organization?
See, one second, I'll just open the door. I think I'm back. See the way I'll put it across to you is how you do something is very important. It is just the way okay, how you tell the interviewer that you don't know the answer or you don't know something, and you do it in a manner that doesn't cost you. The same way when you're doing a change management. A change management is a totally different. Firstly, like I said, there are 3 types of people. You need to be the person who's an institution builder. You proper planning. A lot of communication has to be done. Because when you're doing a change management, the most important thing is every person thinks, what is it in it for me? So you're change. Leader not being presentable, not being able to do things, taking everybody together. A leader has. These are something.
Again,
the connection is unstable.
am I the only one?
Again, breaking?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
You can.
You're not audible.
Which are
sir.
difficult, and it's all leadership styles. One second, let me get out of here.
So it's still breaking, sir.
Hear me now?
Yes, sir. So since the time of you were talking about change management, we did not hear after that.
So what I'm saying, change management is all to work. That's a leadership style. We need to take everybody together. We need to have great communication skills. Every employee would want to know what will she or he gain by that. And you need to be able to communicate, explain to the person. And also take everybody. There are going to be dissenting voices. There will be changes. You have to put that extra effort. And that's why when I said you need a leader who's going to be an institution builder. You need to have the conviction to do what is right. So everywhere, I'm just saying, and I don't know right or wrong, okay? There are economists which say the farm bill is right, and there are economists who say the farm bill is wrong, right? So as a leader, I have to take a call. And the leader has to take a call. So it's the same as playing in the cricket field. That day there was a match between Rajasthan Royals and somebody. There's a batsman who came and he couldn't score runs, okay? And finally he scored runs, okay? Brilliant. Everybody was scribbling about Talwade or some T that guy was. Okay?
Rahul Tewatia.
Rahul Tewatia. Yeah. Every commentator was scribbling. And finally he became a hero. And that's all about life. So don't ever shirk responsibility. Don't feel, but you have to be very humble, very nice. You have to be very patient. There are all the qualities that I said. If you display that, and you have to be fair and lead by example. You can't have, you have to call a spade at that time and do things and be very, very patient. It's a change management. Even implementing an ERP model, EHR model is a huge experience, okay? You will come and see, when I used to work for Times of India, you have this big journalist who, when they walk into Chief Minister's office, the Chief Minister will stand up. They'll say, "Hey Chandra, attendance system क्यों लगाना है? You know me यार, क्या करना है?" तो उसको कैसे समझाएंगे आप? जिसके सामने चीफ मिनिस्टर खड़ा होया था, लेकिन वो मुझसे जूनियर है टाइम्स ऑफ इंडिया में. मिलेंगे आपको ऐसे बंदे ना? So you will have everywhere, no? So you have to be smart. The way you guys, when you work, you're an Excel hostel and you bunk hostel, you manage a teacher, or you get caught without a license with the cop, you will be smart there, no? You know how to maneuver. That's part. You have to be smart. You have to be street smart, keeping your honesty, integrity in place.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
Hello, sir. Showman here. So while you were giving that example of the fitter and the foreman, I was recalling one principle called Peter Principle, which says that people in hierarchy are promoted to their level of incompetence. So how does being an HR, that perspective is taken care of in organization, so that we can ensure that when we are promoting or elevating people from certain level where they have their expertise to a level where they become redundant.
So that's the way the HR, we've got one more jargon which we use. It's not a jargon, it's a very good thing. So we've got a performance potential grid, right? And in the performance potential grid, you also identify who's a specialist and a generalist. So a generalist will get promoted, a specialist will have a capping. So if I'm a treasury head, okay, I will get the salary of a treasury head, but will I become the CEO salary? The answer is no. So I become a specialist and I treat him as a specialist and I give him respect as a specialist. So there are systems and processes. If you do that well, you can take care of everybody. So it is not all jargon. These are things these are tools that you can use. And then you have to sit and then again communicate with the person, make the person understand. He'll say, मैं treasury का बंदा हूँ, इतना पैसा लाता हूँ, इतना कमाता हूँ, मैं CEO नहीं बनूंगा, वो बंदा जो नहीं लाता कर रहा. But that's, you have to make him understand. You're a dude in this, but you're not dude there. You cannot be successful there. So it's all about being fair, having the tools, using the tools, right tools. There are all tools available. The problem is organizations other than, sorry to say this, the FMCG and the pharma, the big 3-4, most of them don't use HR tools as they should be using. And you can't treat employees as commodity. It's the same thing. Can I ask you this when you are saying this now? When if all of us have got brothers and sisters at home, right? If a father has limited money, he'll bet on whom? The son or daughter who is doing better will do. You can't. If you have limited money, you will spend. You will bet on the daughter or son who's got the competency or the thing to do better. It's the same as employees. Do I make sense?
Yes, sir.
Cool. Anything else?
So, continuing, just to follow up question from this.
Yeah.
Does this mean that being a specialist makes me hit a glass ceiling somewhere in my career?
Yes, absolutely. Unless you join an organization which a specialist is that can take you there. Even there you need people skills. So tomorrow if I want to be a CEO, so I have to join an HR firm which can make me. But then I have to have the competency of a leadership competency also. So it's a combination of being, if you just want to be a specialist, you still can be a CEO, but you need leadership competencies, yeah, or managerial competence. But if you want to be in a normal organization, see, specialists are all glass ceiling. The head of manufacturing company, a head of manufacturing is a glass ceiling. I'm giving an example. A treasury head is a glass ceiling. A credit head is a glass ceiling in banking. A risk head is a glass ceiling. A retail banking head is a glass ceiling. You don't want to do wholesale banking and don't want to understand. You think it's not. I don't like dealing with people. No, I like just retail. And people have the likes and dislikes. A guy who's specializing in regulatory is a glass ceiling. And like I said in the beginning, you need to choose organizations. Some organizations, if you have the competence also, they may not give you. So in a banking, you rarely see a regulatory person becoming a CEO of a bank. Unless you mess up and then they need a guy who's high on regulatory to get it in order. So that's a different thing. But you'll get wholesale banker, retail banker becoming the first choice of wholesale banker, as simple as that. If you want to join a FMCG, you have to be a marketing or a finance guy to become a.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Good afternoon. This is Amir here. I am going to have a bit more of a personal question. I am a little intrigued and I want to find out which batch you are from, Martnya.
Which batch? 84.
84? Okay.
Yeah. Boomba, Bikram Boch's batch.
Okay.
The guy who plays tabla and all that stuff.
Yes, I'm aware. I'm actually, we are from the same alumni, so.
Okay. Good to meet you.
Good to interact with you as well, sir. Thank you so much for the insights.
Anybody else wants to ask any question?
Yeah, I have one last question, actually two. So even as like chief officers in an organization in this age of information, how do we keep decisions unbiased?
I'm sorry.
So, yes. So I'm saying in this age of information where information is so easily accessible, how do chief officers keep their decision being unbiased, especially when it comes to the image of the organization and branding of the organization? Is it turning difficult, or how are situations in?
So it is difficult. It is difficult as well as easy. Okay. If I stick to my core values, if I stick to my guiding principles, if I stick to my vision, mission, all this, okay, it is easy. But at the same time, there would be people who would want to throw stones at us. So you need to then block those, then communicate those in that way. And you have to live by your values. It is not only giving lip service. It's the most important thing. Nobody can, the saying is, and keep communicating. So not communicating is not the right thing. There are people who believe that there's a problem and I'll not communicate. It's not the right thing. You need to communicate. You need to go out there and say what is right and say your side of the story. So there are organizations which do not do that, which is not right. And there are organizations which do that. But the most important thing हमें ये सोच के रखना चाहिए कि people would throw stones. People would want to derail you. That's competition. That's what is happening. It's not the right competition. I'm not nowhere supporting it. But that's how the world is. But you need to be strong and hold on to your core values, your build processes, not do things which is not right. Okay. And work towards your communication strategy. Okay. You may need to increase there's something called a communication matrix. You need to strengthen your communication matrix and look at various segments. Look at, you segment it and see which segment is doing that, which segment is not doing. It's the same as anything that you're doing on market segmentation, customer search, whatever you call it, whatever you do there, it's the same thing while communicating, and communicate at that segment. And then look at, if there's something that you need to do with your product or the things that you're doing, you change it. As simple as that. It's like this, okay. When you're doing an employee engagement survey, right? There are two scores you get. One is the score of people practice score. The other is the employee engagement score, the perception score. Okay. Sometimes what happens is your perception score may be high, but your practice score is low. What does that tell you? That you've got it because of perception. So you have to improve your practices. Right? Sometimes what happens is your practice score is very high, but your perception score is low. Then you have to communicate to ensure that it happens. So you need to understand your inherent strengths and do it accordingly. So that's critical. I hope I've answered your question.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Hi, this is Surbhi Gupta, and I have one practical question which I've observed in a lot of situations with a lot of people in my organization. In the time you were talking, I noticed that you're talking about leadership skills and the values which we inculcate as people when we grow in the organization. The values that help us grow. At the same time...
Sorry. If you can repeat, please.
So I noticed that you are talking about the values that help us grow in the right way in the organization. But as you said, other than a few companies, not all of them are using the right HR tools. And this creates a bottleneck in a lot of situations for a lot of good people who are thinking about the organization, thinking about leadership skills, and yet are not able to move forward. So do you have any view on that, and how it obstructs talent to bring up actual contribution to the world?
So the question, the way I said, see, there are changes that happen.
I'm sorry, sir.
Politically right. I would always advise do a bottom up. One second, let me open the door. One second. No, I'm saying is, what I was saying, can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
So I'm saying, see, there are changes that happen to, firstly, organizations. I believe you guys have been born in a better era. So HR is slowly going to be stronger and stronger, much stronger. Yeah. So the question is, what you need to understand here is that there are two ways of changes. One is top down and bottom up. So youngsters like you should also be part of the change. Okay. You need to change within your environment. And once you do that, it will keep spreading. So the question is being politically right. I know it's a difficult job. Okay, you need to make these changes slowly. Okay, push the needle. Put your bosses who are slightly younger. Okay, who are your managers? Push them. Okay, boss, aise karte. Let's do this. And you also have to go out in the open to help. I know you will meet many seniors or CEOs who you pull them and say, sir, aajao thoda sa dance club mein dance karne ke liye. They'll come, but you have to bring see, it's the responsibility of the senior to get you in, and it's your responsibility to get senior also in. So how do you build that? And what happens is, and you have to do it very subtly, because it's a game. People are scared to lose their power. Okay, people are scared to lose their power. So hence they want to hold to it. So you have to do it in a non-threatening manner where they think, bossy ho, chinta mat karo, main aapke sir pe nahi baithne wala hu. But this is what we want. So it's how you do it is very important. Yeah.
And just to addition in it, what about colleagues? In a lot of situations, whom we are competing with are colleagues. There are friends, there are the people with whom we have tea every day, talk every day, discuss work every day, and at the same time compete with them. And organization only have limited upper level positions.
So it's just like any cricket field. No, you compete. Only one wins the match. You compete fiercely when you're there. But you don't have to be unfriendly to compete. You don't have to, see, there are two ways of going up. One is going up and one is pulling down to go up yourself. If you do that, you will waste your energy. You will not be the best. And if you're good, nobody can stop you. Only God can stop you. Whoever the supernatural power is.
Understood, sir. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Anybody else wants to ask any questions? Further questions?
Yes, sir. This is Shine here. I've just got one question.
Yeah.
While you were talking about the people management, you talked about removing ambiguity on costs, on maybe the process. So since you have been, you had a good experience in the banking sector, you have worked in the South Indian Bank. So can you relate and give an example in the banking industry? Now, I come from the banking industry, and I'm sure that many of us in the batch would aspire to be in the banking industry. So can you relate some example and try to explain it in a bit elaborative way?
So the most important, look at the MPS. SME 0 to SME 1 to SME 2.
Right.
Right? From SME 2, what you do? Not to show MPA, what you do? Technically, you should show MPA, no?
Yes, sir.
That's the best example that I can give. But if I'm the boss, if I tell you, I'll say work from before it becomes MPA, SME 0. Why allow him to become SME 0? So if I improve my process, put my process in place where SME 0, I reduce the number of companies coming to SME 0. From the time I do the credit evaluation, risk evaluation, compliance.
But there again, I've seen a couple of instances when it goes to SMA2, you again, there's a concept of relending, right? You relend that company and bring it back to maybe SMA1.
You relend again, when you're saying let's be open, you don't relend to the same company, you relend to his name, company was XYZ, you ZYA company. फिर वो बीचे से पैसा ला के लाता. So the question is,
right?
So you are going around the system. But that's the ambiguity that everybody is facing in today's world. These are something, and if you don't do it, your organization is problem. So, but the question is, you can stop doing it the retail loans, which are smaller loans, no? जो 2 crore, 1 crore, 3 crore loans, वही चीज 100 crore का loan कर रहे हो, 500 crore का loan कर रहे हैं. So I'm just giving an example. So you're right, you can, but it's all because of the processes that you follow, or you do not have processes, because of which you have a problem. You can manage ambiguity only if you create more and more appropriate process, but not to stifle decision making. Okay, I'm never saying decision making. Rather, if you have the right processes, decision making becomes much faster. You know exactly what you're supposed to do. The same way with stress fund. What have the banks done? The NPS have transferred into stress funds, right or wrong?
Yes, sir.
That's just an accounting. People have their profits are being hit because the valuation that they have transferred the fund there. Then also one more example ambiguous, which is actual advice. You don't today. Nobody knows what the future is. What's going to happen COVID? What's going to not happen? When is COVID going? So this is a great example of being in a situation where we are totally ambiguous. We are not certain of what is there. So this is a time to dig your heels, look at your processes, look at your regulatory stuff, look at all your process, whether risk, whether it's compliance, whether it's credit systems in place, your retail banking, your strategies, look at re-strategizing. Where would you go to corporate loans? Would you go to for retail loans? Where will you strategize? Look at what the future is going to be. Which are the organizations that stand up? Which so if you do that homework, you where the COVID goes. As you do that. Hello?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Yeah.
I think I've lost him, sir.
So we can wrap it up right now?
I'm fine. Your call. At your disposal.
So with the address of today, we are enlightened and enriched for future goals and our personal life, and in whichever field we'll get opportunity to work. And you are yourself an example to us that on Sunday morning that you spared your precious personal time without any personal or professional gain. And the kind of real life examples and the real life professional examples and the personal examples of your son and daughter that you gave were very relatable, and it added to a lot of learning value. And right from the well-bred and adding points to your CV value when you have to be in an organization and to be motivating us to be an institution builder, we gained a lot from the interactive session. And on the lighter side, thank you for giving us this honor that you wore a formal shirt rather than a t-shirt for the session. On behalf we are very grateful for the fruitful session, and I can say it with conviction that till now the kind of this is the most interactive session we had till now, and by far the largest participation of the batch also. So thank you to all the participants also attending. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, and God bless all of you and do well. You surely do well. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks a lot. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot, sir. Such an insightful session. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.